Hello everyone, you're on the channel. Today, I will dismantle two BMWs that I blindfolded from plasticine. But before that, I will briefly tell you about these BMWs as I have already filmed a full review on them. If you haven't watched it yet, you can watch it now. A hint will pop up in the upper right corner and there will also be a link to it in the description. So, I sculpted them out of plasticine. For sculpting, I use two types of plasticine. This is sculptural, hard and very hard. For the first time, I sculpted two identical machines at once. Their differences are only in colors, otherwise they are identical. I sculpted these machines in order to smash them and compare the damage. It took me 142 hours of work over 16 days to create these BMWs. These BMWs are very well detailed. I highlighted the engine, the interior and also the bottom of the cars. In order for them to break more or less realistically, I used foil in the process of creation. I attached it tightly to the plastic parts of the body. It is necessary for strength and for the plastic to hold the necessary shape. Plus, the foil gives more realistic bends when deforming this or that part of the body. And also for the entire body, I made a frame as in real cars, although mine is very simplified. But this method is suitable for crash tests and accordingly I attached body parts to this frame. I made a working suspension for both cars, their wheels can turn. I also used drawings to create the PMV and I examined it in 4 and in 3ds Max. So that's how I sculpted these cars. Way into one BMW, I'm lying with a machine on the remote control. By the way, it will be a Cybertruck, the body of which I also sculpted from plasticine. On the bumper of this Cybertruck, I attached the battering ram to the Cybertruck's bumper, which will crash into a BMW, accelerating along the lane before crashing into another BMW at the end of the path. And the other car I will be dropping from a height of 2 meters onto the floor. That's why the Cybertruck has such a battering ram, so that the damage conditions are similar. Thanks to such a type of crash test, we will find out whether it is better to crash cars in the usual way or to drop them from a height, and what looks more spectacular. I also updated the polygon for conducting crash tests. I still decided to bring back the soft bumpers for a slight cushioning of the collision. To the bumpers, I attached a small wall so that the contact and distribution of the collision would be even. The damage received by the cars in no way reflects what would have happened with real cars in a similar situation. This is just a separate imitation of what could have been. This is such my entertaining content for you, so it's not worth strictly judging plastic cars with real ones. And here's what can roughly happen, and in this BMNG drive can help us. Somehow I accelerated Tesla too much, which made BMW very upset. Still, as we see, a wall with soft teeth is particularly useless. The car, although it was quite upset, turned out to be sturdy. The front part just became flat, the hood barely bent normally, it had some kind of too smooth bend. The back also became all flat, slightly bulged side wings. You can even see the orange plastic, it goes part of the car's body. The trunk remained intact and did not bend in this process. And the rear glass flew out. From the side, it can be seen that the roof has become higher, and the front door and the rear wheel arch have also slightly bent. And here's what happened to the engine. Everything just became denser here. These are the damages from the first collision. Now I will drop the red on the front part. And here's what happened when it fell. It looks quite realistic. The hood crumpled as it should have. The car fell at an angle. It didn't manage to drop it evenly. From above, it looks amusing, as if they've sliced off half the front section. In addition to the front part, the car also slightly damaged the trunk. It only bent a little, although it is noticeable, and the glass was blown out of the fastenings. If you compare the damage from the front, you can see that the blue BMW looks much worse. Because it was hit from two sides, it received much more damage. However, comparing is particularly pointless, as the conditions of the damage are different. It's understandable, but I thought there would be a plus-minus, something similar between them. Alas, it's not like that. Now I will try to throw the red BMW again.
On to the front part.
She's back again.
She fell on the same part again. It's like it's haunting her, she can't shake it off. Of course, she plunged even deeper into the abyss, quite noticeably. Everything here tightened, the capot bent even more, and it already tore off from the fastening. And here's how much the engine suffered after this fall. On the other hand, the front wing has already bent due to the second collision. Now I will drop it onto the rear part. That was strong. You see how much it pushed out the rear part? It's just crazy, but the trunk is still intact, although in theory it should have been crushed. The entire bend was covered with cracks from the paint. The rear wing simply detached from the body, and the hit did not go further into the rear door, it remained intact. Now it's more heavily damaged than the blue BMW. On the other hand, nothing much happened. Only the bumper detached from the mounts, but the gas tank remained intact, even though everything under it was bent. Also, due to the fall, the driver's seat just tore off. It's now bouncing around the cabin. Now I'm cutting into the rear part of the blue BMW. Somehow this doesn't look much like a BMW anymore, yeah. The rear-end collision finally finished off the BMW. Look at how badly the back part was smashed. It was just smeared. It was very harsh. Again, an orange plastic was seen. These are elements of the body. The roof of the BMW got even higher due to the collision. The front door only bent at the beginning of the door. They turned out quite strong, I see. Now you can compare the damage of two BMWs. The blue one is much more severely damaged. Of course, this is because it was additionally squeezed from the front, and the red one doesn't have that, it just falls and that's it. At the back of the red one, only the right side was bent when both were damaged in the blue one due to a direct collision. And here's what's in front of the blue one is much worse, when the red BMW has absolutely all doors intact. Now I will drop the red BMW sideways and see what comes out of it. And again, it didn't turn out as planned. It fell on its wheels, not sideways. Well, here only the roof bent, it got lower. But otherwise, everything remained as it was, although the seats in the cabin have simply worn out. I'm attempting to reset it once more. Well, this time it went better. It fell on its side and already landed on the roof. Here you can immediately see that the engine looks a bit out. It has become higher than it was. Also on the side, there was such a smooth bend. After falling, it seemed to level off from behind. This is more noticeable. Here we have the rear bumper, flat, then transitions to the side part, and here you can see that it changed the bend due to the fall. Now it's the blue BMW's turn. And here's what we got. The doors have slightly gone into the salon, and that's in the central part. Bending the car in this way is much more difficult than lengthwise. From the other side, it became smoother because it was compressed in the dents from the collisions. Now it has leveled out. This was the last collision. Here's what happened to them after all this. Well, to the unarmed eye, it's clear that the red is much more whole than the blue. Based on all this, we've determined that creating similar injury conditions is devilishly difficult. There are many factors that influence this and which need to be taken into account. In general, I will probably be redesigning the crash test area, making it longer so that the car doesn't receive additional damage and isn't jammed. And at the same time, you visually saw what a regular crash test looks like and the dropping of a car from a height and what kind of damage they receive. I'm interested to know, what did you like more, the regular crash test or the dropping of the car from a height? Now you can vote on what you like more. It depends on what I will do more often and what you find more interesting to watch. And now, when these are broken, they go to the pile of broken cars, although there is already not a pile, but a whole heap. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, support it with a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are interested in my plastic art. Thanks for watching. Goodbye to all.